welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. So last week I had requested some video ideas and I got a few requests to do a very basic how to create a budget video. So today I'm gonna go over a budget that I will just make up as we go, just with some basic expenses, just to show you the basics. And I'll pop up in here just some of the tips that I have and also the way that I created our first budget and what worked for us. So the first tip that I have is to pull your statements for 1 year. So this would be for any credit cards that you frequently use for expenses. This would be for your debit card, your checking account, anywhere where you have expenses coming out typically. So for us, that was mainly our credit union checking account. So I pulled our expenses for a year and I had a blank sheet and I set it up and I put annual and monthly. And so that would be step 2, would be to create these categories. You're gonna have your annual expenses and your monthly expenses. Because something that always had tripped me up previously when I was doing my budget was the fact that we had some bigger annual expenses and a lot of them tend to hit in the same month for us. So January is typically one of those months for us where we have our 6-month car insurance coming due. We have some annual fees for my son's sports. So things like that, typically that aren't in our budget monthly, they would hit us all at once and it would really cause our budget to not be balanced anymore and we would have to take from other places. So it's a good idea to get these 2 categories and set them up and say, here's all of our annual expenses for 1 year, here's all of our monthly expenses for 1 year. Then step 3 would be to start with your actual monthly budget here. So you're using your list, having that on the side and creating a monthly budget. For this example, I'm gonna use January 2021, which is the month that we're in right now. And the third step is that we're going to determine our take-home pay. So using those monthly averages, and this might be different depending on your type of job. So I have worked jobs in the past where my income was very irregular or I wasn't exactly sure what my income would be. My husband and I now have a pretty stable budget, or stable income. So it kind of depends on that for you. So first, I'm just gonna put some random numbers here. If you want to see my budget for January, I'll pop up a card here so that I can link you to that. That has our real numbers. This is just going to be an estimate, so I'll just put some round numbers so that we can work on this together. And if you're doing this as well, then you would use your actual numbers. So let's just put 1,500, 1,000, 1,500, 1,000, so that would give us a total income of 5,000. And then I do have this side here where we could put our actuals. So if it does change, then you can come back and balance your budget at the end of the month. So next we're going to use that list that we created with our average of our yearly expenses. And we're going to enter our fixed expenses and our variable expenses. So I'll just use some pretty simple fixed expenses. So a mortgage, let's say 1,200. Let's say you have a cell phone and that's 80. And let's say you have a gym membership and that is 40, and let's say you have internet and that is 65, and I think that'll be it for just these fixed expenses. So then we're going to add them up. So that would be 1,385, and then we're going to subtract off that from our $5,000. And that gives us a remaining of 3,615. Then we're gonna move on to variable expenses. So variable expenses would be things such as groceries, gas, dining out, other things like electric, things that are not the same every month, or like gas and groceries that you're having to charge multiple times a month that could be different. It's not like a fixed amount. So let's say we have electric. Let's say we have gas, like gasoline for your car. We have groceries. We have spending. We have dining out. And let's just do a MISC. This is pretty similar to what my budget is too. And then you can assign some dates if you want. I'm not gonna assign dates to those just because they are like just whenever we're needing to use those. So let's do electric, 175, gas, 60, groceries, 400, spending, 100, dining out, 150. And these are just numbers that I'm pulling off the top of my head for now. So then we're gonna add these together. So that would be 985, and then we're gonna subtract that off of our, so that gives us a remaining of 2,630. So step number 5 would be to determine your sinking funds. And I have a whole video about sinking funds. If you're curious, I will link it in the cards above. That goes a little bit more into detail than I'll go in this video. But going back to that annual list that you created, you might want to create a sinking fund for anything, and what you do might be variable depending on your flexibility and your budget. We typically do anything that's over $100 a year, we'll create a sinking fund for it. So some examples of sinking funds that we have would be car maintenance, home maintenance. We do own a home, car insurance, which is about, I think it's about $400 every 6 months for us, and we pay that twice a year. And then we also have quarterly water, which we don't pay our water bill monthly. So that is something that we pay quarterly that we have a sinking fund for. And of course, other things like birthdays, Christmas might be things that you want to consider having sinking funds for. So just use that annual list and create sinking funds based on what you think you need a sinking fund for. So I'm just going to use some examples of common ones. Car, home, Christmas, car insurance, and that'll be it for now. So let's do car 100, home 150, Christmas 40, car insurance 60. So that would be 350. Then you're going to subtract that off of your remaining from here down to here. So that gives you a remaining of 2,280. So step 6 would be to come down to this section and determine your debt minimum payments. So if you have a car, that would go down here. If you have student loans, if you have credit cards, so any of those debt minimums. So let's say your car payment is $250, your student loan minimum is $150, and your credit card is $50. So I'm gonna add those together. That gives us $450 in minimums, and I'm gonna subtract off our remaining. So that would give us $1,830 left over. So then you're going to go to step 7, which would be determining your financial priorities. So this is going to be different based on everyone. So my financial priority right now is to pay off debt. So this $1,830 would be going directly to my debt if this were my budget. But that might be different for you. You might be saving up for a car. You might be wanting to save up for a house. So whatever your priorities are, they should reflect with your extra income. So then step 8 would be to assign your extra income. So let's say that for the purposes of this budget, we want to pay off the car. So I'm going to assign all of that $1,830 as an extra car payment. And so then we're just going to take all of that, and that would give us $1,830 plus 50 plus 150 plus 250. That's that 2280. which is correct. And then that gives us a zero-based budget. So that would be step 9, is double checking to make sure your budget is zero-based. I always go through and just do calculations over again. And then the last step would be just to check in throughout the month. So these numbers might be variable. So a lot of times we might go over on groceries, but under on gas and so. So it's really important to update this as the month progresses to make sure that your budget stays zero-based, and any of that extra income that you might receive from going under budget in some areas or checks being over, that should go towards your car extra in this case, or whatever your financial priorities are. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below or message me on Instagram. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It really helps out my channel and I appreciate it so much. And thank you guys again so much for watching. Bye.